Coming up on Smart Tech today, Matthew Cassinelli and I sit down to talk about, well, some fun things going on in the smart home. There's a new Ember mug out. There, of course, is the very cool LifeX candle, some stuff going on at Google, all the Hearables, and, of course, we have a chat about the projects we're working on. Stay tuned.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This episode of Smart Tech Today is brought to you by FreshBooks, the #1 accounting software in the cloud for self-employed professionals and their teams. Make the running of your business simple and efficient with FreshBooks. Try it free for 30 days at freshbooks.com/STT. Welcome back to Smart Tech Today, where we explain the exciting, dynamic, and, well, sometimes confusing subject that is the Internet of Things. I'm Mikah Sargent.
And I'm Matthew Cassinelli.
And today, we are going to talk about, well, quite a few smart home things, because there are quite a few smart home things in the lineup. Before we round out some talk about, I don't know, multi-voice recognition, Google, etc. It's what we do on this show, right? I'm feeling a little punchy this evening. How are you doing, Matthew?
I am doing good. I just had my parents here for the weekend, and so we went around San Francisco and had like a good... I didn't know that there was an old Italian district in San Francisco in North Beach. And so I have like this fancy lemon cookie, and I had like a prosciutto sandwich this weekend. So I'm doing well.
A fancy lemon cookie. That sounds amazing. I love lemon desserts. Those are my favorite. I make some killer gluten-free lemon bars. In fact, every time no one here yet has had them, so they don't know the beautiful quality of them. But it used to be when I would get invited to parties and things like that with friends back where I'm from, I was not allowed to come to the party unless I was bringing my gluten-free lemon bars. So,
nice. Your signature dish.
My signature dish. Some places they call them lemon squares. So, I'm talking about the same thing. Depending on if you're a square or a bar kind of person. Be there and bring the squares is what they'd say. They
Nice.
never said that. So let's get into things. I would love it if we talked first, and I wish that I would have thought of this. It's the Ember mug, but it's the second edition. I wish I would have thought about this in the sense that I wish I would have brought my Ember mug with me. I have one. Do you have an Ember mug?
No, I don't, but I just saw this come through. And so have you played around with it before? I mean, I assume.
Oh, I should be clear. I have the first edition of the Ember mug. I just saw this actually whenever you had added it to our show document. So it's new to me that they were making a new one. I was kind of curious if that was kind of a one-hit wonder type of company. And so I was surprised to see that they're still iterating on the design. In fact, so this TechCrunch article says that it came out in 2016, and it really hasn't had many changes from that point, other than I think that they had the travel mug and the the sort of normal coffee mug, and I used the normal coffee mug pretty frequently when I worked from home. But then it was annoying because the charger that they supply, it's the bottom of the base of your mug has these two rings around it. And it's, what is that, inductive charging, contact charging. And the charging base has these two pogo pins on it that stick up. And so pogo pins, for anyone who doesn't know, they're like these little spring-loaded pins. And when you set the mug down, then it sort of depresses the pins so you know you've made a good contact. The problem is that one of those pogo pins died on me, and I tried doing some surgery on it. I tried to get in and replace the spring. I looked online everywhere for pogo pins that were that size, couldn't find any. And so what I ended up doing was a horrible rigged job of kind of sticking up some copper wire in place of where the pogo pins were, but that just wasn't sustainable over time. I mean, I had the soldering iron and everything. I was, going all in with it. But the reason I did that is because the mug was just fine. It was just the charging base, and to buy a new charging base was like $60, and I was not going to spend $60 just for this proprietary charging base. So I'm curious. what they're doing with Mug 2 and if it's any easier to charge, if it's more waterproof, if it's anything like that. Oh, in fact,
I don't think so. Not totally.
Darn it.
It does say it has 50% better battery life, which is just, I don't know. That's just hilarious reading about a coffee mug that has 50% battery life or 50% better battery life.
Yeah.
Just the whole concept is like,
so
feels silly, but
it does.
I get also like, I regularly am sitting up here with a cold cup of coffee. So I can see that one being useful.
I don't know about you, but if my coffee goes cold, it either gets dumped or I put ice in it to make it an iced coffee. I don't.
Oh yeah,
can't do lukewarm.
Did we already talk about this? Are you anti-microwaving your coffee?
I'm 1,000% against.
What's the difference between that and this, though?
Every time, oh my God, there's
it.
so much of a difference. You're not okay. So first of all,
I don't know anything about microwaves.
Every time someone is microwaving a cup of coffee out there, I can feel it. It's like someone's pulling a hair out of my skin. So I'm just constantly inundated with pain, and that's why I'm such a horrible person. No. So with you've got the concept wrong here. It is not that the coffee is being warmed to a temperature. It is that it is maintained at a temperature. You pour in the coffee, it cools down to drinkable, and then it keeps it at your choice of drinkable for the rest of the time. So it's not meant to warm it up. It's meant to keep it at the perfect temperature. And so there were times when I used this more regularly that I would sit down my cup of coffee, and then I'd like have to make a run to the grocery store or something like that. I'd come back, and that beautiful cup of coffee was just how it was when I left. So I quite like it for that. And it's also a great... it has a built-in tea timer functionality, so you can get it. You make sure it's at the right temperature. It steeps a perfect amount of time, etc. So it absolutely felt like a purchase that I did not need to make, and I understood that. But when it came to luxury, it was like one of the luxuries that I actually really appreciated.
That makes sense, especially. It's like once you already have it, then you can fully appreciate it. It might be a little hard to swallow, but I think, again,
like coffee.
It always, too hot coffee. Again, though, now that I think about it, it always does come back to like, I just imagined if I was in a wheelchair and had to go heat up my coffee downstairs all the time and take I don't know, it just is like, there is actually good reason not to constantly be traveling back and forth. Or if you have a really annoying coworker who hangs out at the...
You're like, I can't go back to the coffee pot.
Yeah, you're like, this is worth the money.
Rob is always standing next to the coffee pot, and he always has that story about football, and I never know what he's talking about. Ugh. I tell you. Okay, we promised that we weren't going to get too bogged down in one story. So let's move on to the next one. What is this about a LifeX candle? Before we get to that one, I do want to say I was just on Amazon's site the other night, which happens a lot, I'm ashamed to admit. And they have these LED bulbs that they call flame bulbs. And they're LED lights that mimic the look of flames. And I thought, how appropriately Californian, because nobody needs to have an open fire here. But if they wanted to have like the mood of a fire outside, then they could use these flame bulbs for that. So this is a little bit different, though.
Yeah, it's like it says candela style, which is just kind of like more of what you put in like a chandelier, where it's a little more shaped. But this light looks like I don't even totally understand the technology, but instead of it just being like one light in a bulb, the entire outside of the bulb looks like wrapped in or not wrapped in LED, but like in effect is all separate LEDs. And so you can change, it can have like multicolored effects in the same bulb.
Yeah, this is
like
wild.
Painted onto it is the way. Yeah, it looks so cool.
I don't know.
And then once you stick it in like your desk lamp or something like that, you can kind of have like a whole, it's almost like a light strip wrapped into one bulb so that you can have multiple colors across it.
I want to get one of these just so I can take it up. Like I need to iFixit this thing because I need to know how it works inside. So with these candelabra bulbs are actually really nice because so where I lived before I came to California, most of the fixtures in my house, they were fan and light combo fixtures, and the lights were candelabra outlets, or they were candelabra bases, I guess is the proper term. And so it's very expensive. Hue candelabra bulbs are incredibly expensive, and to outfit my whole house, it would have cost quite a bit of money because it was 4 for each fixture, 1 in each bedroom, 3 bedrooms, which, by the way, I paid much less for that than I paid for this. You know what? I'm not going to get into it. Rent's very expensive in California. Anyway, but of course, LifeX does a good job of coming in at or under the cost of Philips Hue while providing, in many cases, more features. And this is one of them. Those Hue bulbs would do the multicolor, but only one color at a time, whereas this painting idea is pretty neat. So I might have, like I said, I might have to get just one of these so I could take it apart and see how this works. It looks like they're $45 a piece, which again, if you're trying to outfit your stairwell that has 3 of them, that gets really pricey really quick.
Yeah, these are super fancy, so it might be more of an accent type piece. It's like I used to have this just like single post that didn't actually have a lampshade on it. I think I got it from some like thrift store type thing, but I always wanted to have those filament type bulbs. But something like this would be cool too, to like paint colors across the surrounding area.
Yeah.
But it is like if you filled out a whole chandelier with that, it would be $1,000 or something. Maybe Oprah or somebody like that is doing this.
Yeah, exactly. Now, what the person who wrote this article points out is that this is currently only available in the candelabra bulb, but I wouldn't be surprised, and so says this person, that it's likely that this feature could come to their normal bulbs.
Yeah.
And so then we get to see that as well. Now, I'm reading about, there's something called polychrome technology, which is something that LifeX does. And so this is a specific, I wonder if they must have like a patent or something for this type of lighting, but the polychrome technology is what is in not only the candelabra bulb, but it's also in their tile products. And that's what makes it for the different blending opportunities. It says,
wow, I didn't even know they had those.
A single bulb to emit multiple colors of light at once. I'm curious. All right. Well,
those are cool. Yeah. Wow. I didn't even know they have a tile. They have a beam also, which is just a big old long one. That's pretty cool.
You're gonna have to come to my house because I've got tiles up on the wall.
Oh, nice.
And there are some really neat things you can do with that. All righty. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say I got to get like sponsored by them on YouTube or something.
Yes,
like that. So they send
go.
me like, I can have a whole wall design behind me, but not spend $2,000 on it.
That's the problem. I think, talking about some of these products, I am constantly in a battle to try and find things that are cost effective, but are not so cost effective that I am very curious about how they're able to make said product cost effective.
Yeah.
Because I think that when you get to a certain low price, you're running into, there's several options that one could take there. They're selling your data to third parties and making up money in that package. They're low quality products, meaning that the components inside are low quality and could lead to fire issues, could lead to any sort of thing.
Just like waste afterwards, especially.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And so that, I can't remember what the third one is going to be, but definitely those two are kind of where I go whenever, there's some cameras out there that are very inexpensive. And I'm constantly goes, how are you able to sell them for that little? It reminds me of televisions too.
Yeah.
For folks who don't know, a lot of televisions, one of the ways they make back their money, because they will charge a lower price than what one would normally charge to make back the money on the television. They sort of undercut the price, and they make up for that by the smart TV functionality that's included on some televisions, because with that smart TV functionality, when you enable it, when you log onto your Wi-Fi network, and when you get going, it is tracking the like actual output of your screen, which they can then send off to analytics firms to figure out what you and many hundreds of thousands of other folks are watching, and are you seeing commercials, are you not, et cetera, et cetera. So those are the things that make me concerned, and why if I'm going to be doing the smart home thing, I will, within a certain reasonable extent, will pay a premium. But I still haven't bought smart blinds from what is the company that makes them? Lutron Caseta company, because those are like $5,000 for one one smart
IKEA
blind.
keeps delaying theirs. So
I know, and I want them so bad. There are a couple of other companies out there that are working on just the motor to bring up and down blinds.
That makes sense.
So I'm keeping my eye on that as well.
Daylight saving time, or I guess now it's standard time, but maybe that would have been a good themed launch day or something. I guess probably the other way.
I don't know how it all works.
Yeah.
What time is it? My house.
I have no idea.
There are like 3 clocks in my house that aren't connected to digital things and to the internet, I mean. And so I have 3 dumb clocks in my house, and they all are telling me different times, and I don't pay attention to any of them, or else I'll be late to everything. Wait, is that how that works? Or to be early to everything? Again, see? We fallen back? I think so. I don't know what it all means. Why did we do that again? Now, Tile is working with the Google Assistant and with Amazon's Assistant. So, there have been improvements made, but
I think it had worked with Echo devices for a while, but then now they announced it for Google Assistant too, and now it just came out. So it is interesting seeing. It's like surprising that you couldn't do that stuff before, but you can be like, "Hey, ring my backpack," and it'll beep at you. So this is kind of just,
I lost my keys, and then you hear that beep across the room, which is pretty nice. My apartment complex, and of course. I won't pull it out since this is audio. Tell your friends about our podcast, folks. The more people who hear about it, the more likely there is a chance that we will add video to the stream. So I was going to pull out my keychain because on it, the apartment owner, the apartment company that I live in, they give you a tile that's branded with their logo when you move in. And so you can always find your keys. And I thought that was a very clever idea that Tile came up with. But being able to add that, being able to add that to the Google Home that's in my house, or the Echo that's in the multiple Echoes that are in my house, and say, I lost my doggone keys. Can you help me find them? It's nice. I think.
Yeah, that's pretty solid.
I don't know about you, but I want to be able to, with the different smart home stuff that I own, I just want, no matter what voice I choose to communicate with which I choose to communicate, I want to be able to do the thing that I need to have happen. And
universal assistance.
Universal assistance, so that if someone comes into my home who's more comfortable using the Google Assistant, then they can still make the same things happen using the Google Assistant. And then, an Echo baby comes in and wants to control things with Amazon, then they should be able to do that as well. And then you come in and you want to use my HomePod to control things, then I'll lock you out. No, I mean, then you can do it as well. And me too. I mean, I have all the different devices, and I'd like to be able to, but right now it requires so much work on our part, on the user's part, the consumer's part. And I want it to just be sort of this, I'm okay with having to take the step of linking, obviously. I don't want it to just link automatically. But then after that, to have to figure out like, what am I going to name it? Is that name the same across all the products? Is it going to be, when I say turn off living room light to Amazon's Assistant, then it turns off the floor lamp. But when I say turn off living room light to the Google Home, then it turns off the table lamp or something like that. That gets so confusing, and it makes me want to reset my whole doggone smart home and like pack it away for a month before I feel like I have the energy to set it all up again.
I'm pretty sure I don't have if this then that, actually just the Hue app properly synced with my HomeKit stuff right now. And it's like I try, but it still doesn't it doesn't take.
Oh, I'm glad that I'm not the only one. Yeah, mine keeps giving me that little alert, and I just keep ignoring it. I'm like, if I don't look at it, what I don't see can't hurt me, just please stop. And
well, I will put that. I wrote that down because we should come back to the universal usage thing when we talk about shortcuts in a minute, because some people were complaining about that earlier.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that. Now, this I think is a interesting story, and we talked a little bit about this as well ahead of time. This morning at 6 a.m. Pacific, Jason Howell and I covered the Microsoft, I forget what it's called now, but
Ignite.
Yes, Microsoft Ignite. Thank you. The Microsoft Ignite keynote, the Vision keynote that Satya Nadella put on, and talked about the different. It's a developer conference mostly, and talked about the different software and upcoming like cloud computing platforms that they are bringing. But one of the things that I found fascinating, and you even picked up on it, despite sort of being outside of the Microsoft field, it's a feature that is a part of another feature. So it is Cortana, and it is using Microsoft. It's leveraging Microsoft's cloud computing platform to sort of read through, and this is where people get a little spooked, but give me a second here, to sort of index a company's, an entire company's whole system and understand and link up different bits of knowledge. And so it basically turns the company into an indexable, searchable database, knowledge base, wiki kind of thing. And it seems on the face of it that maybe sounds a little bit weird, but think of it like this. I get an email from Matthew Cassinelli, and we work at the same company. And this is set up, we're using Microsoft Teams, and this is set up with Outlook email and the whole Microsoft Teams platform, blah, blah, blah. And he sends me an email, and in it says, I need you to check out TUVO within the next 6 hours. And I look at that email. I was just recently hired at this company that we both work for, and I have no idea what TUVO is. Well, within this email, I can go to TUVO, and I see that it's highlighted. I can click on it, and it tells me it means toxic umbrella customer orangutans.
Whatever.
And so these are a new stuffed animal that we're selling. It is an orangutan in a hazmat suit with an umbrella who's shielding itself from acid rain. The toxic umbrella customer orangutans. Is that what I said? I don't recall. Anyway, and it shows me a whole card of information about our new product. And then underneath that, it also shows me who in the company I can talk to about this hazmat orangutan. And so then I know that Matthew Cassinelli is one of the specialists because he actually designed this stuffed animal that is somehow for kids but is trying to run away from acid rain. I don't understand, but he's going to help me figure that out, as well as anybody else who's linked to the product so that I can go to them and say, how could you ever let this happen? The idea is that it makes your job a lot easier because you're not having to search through a big company. And I think this is great, again, for bigger companies. But you mentioned that you'd like to put this technology to use in other ways, like with your website.
Yeah. I mean, and so it's like in general, it's like sucks in all the data and creates sort of like a automatic business intelligence so that when you're scheduling meetings or working with your email, it can automatically pick that stuff up. I always did want something like this, even just like for my website, of like, I mean, I have like so much shortcuts data, and like some, like when I reference an action in line in a blog post or something, to be able to like click on that and have a little like pop over of the information. Mm-hmm. But it does seem like for people who are using Outlook, like this adds a lot of new features. And I mean, I think in general, it's like putting Cortana in the system lets you like read your emails out loud to you, which is cool. This is like a super commonly requested feature for something like Siri shortcuts is just to be able to like tell me what my emails are as you're driving to work or something like that. But yeah, then it's like scheduling throughout your day, and that deeper level of business intelligence information stuff seems super powerful. But some of the more consumer stuff is just like, oh, like what's in my email. So it seems like it's finally actually Cortana is actually useful in some way now. Like the TechCrunch article talking about reading your email is like, maybe it's better suited to just tell you about the weather than actually productivity. But it is like their Microsoft is also like combining Office apps into one on iOS. So there's some interesting like plays now. And even kind of what we were saying before, you don't necessarily need to use just one assistant. Like maybe this is maybe your work assistant,
right? More
specifically, because they have like a whole workflow system too that they just rebranded. What was it, like PowerFlow?
Power Team. I can't remember. It's some wild name. I made a stupid joke about it this morning, and now I can't remember what it was. You'd think I would, but yeah.
Power Automate.
Is that really what it's called?
Yeah, and their Power Virtual Agents tool. The Power Platform.
Power Platform. That's the
PowerPoint.
PowerPoint. Yeah. Well, now we're making references to The Office. Did I mention we're punchy?
But yeah, it seems like that's a smart move from Microsoft to like go where the focus is for their enterprisey, but also the people who work there. So that seems nice, like quality of life thing. Hopefully something like Apple gets that soon, because people do ask for that all the time. It's like, look through my email, hopefully more securely or something. I mean, I don't know. I think
Microsoft does a pretty good job with it. Yeah.
And when it's enterprise grade security, you can't mess around there.
Exactly. Now, what I do like is this pivot for Cortana. Yes, it exists on these different platforms, and boy, is it trying in its current state, but that it is going to be a tool that is your productivity workflow, and to be able to use things like that. What was that email I had with Catherine 3 days ago, and then it pops up and it shows you the email, but it also shows you attachments related to that email. It shows you other email threads that may involve that calendar. Like, that is the assistant, the productivity assistant that I've wanted for a long time. And right now, all the boo-boos, be it Sierra or Alpha or whatever we decided Google was.
And don't forget
Golf.
Bixby.
Bixby.
Bravo.
Yeah. Whatever.
Hey, we got some Bixby news.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever it happens to be, they are good at, they're relatively good at answering questions and like launching apps and things. But I really think that everybody could use a step up in the productivity game. So if Microsoft goes there first, then I guess.
Yeah, I was going to say, Microsoft is going to win the assistant more. No.
Oh my goodness! Can you imagine?
We'll see. Hey, I don't know.
They're the underdogs that just swoop in out of nowhere.
Well, the other thing I was referencing with Bixby is that Samsung's they acquired SmartThings a while ago and turned it into their own platform, and so now they are doing anything with it, which is good because I think they basically did what most brands do, where they have a select few partners, and now their developer thing is a lot more open. So they have a new rules API that they're planning, and then also the ability to do offline automation. So
offline automation, folks, that's so important.
Yeah,
we can't understate that enough, because for multiple reasons. From a privacy perspective, it's important, but also from a usability perspective. If you suddenly don't have access to the wide area network and you just have access to your local area network, you still want to be able to have those lights turn on and off, because you don't want your front porch and your back porch lights staying on through the entire night, even though you normally have them set to turn off at sunset or sunrise. And that's just one small example. There are much worse, I'm sure, like somebody who's running their sprinkler system using a smart home device of some sort, and then their sprinkler system floods their lawn because they lost internet connections. That sounds like a nightmare. Or a smart toilet that that clogs itself because it was running when it wasn't supposed to. Oh dear, the smart home, I tell you. It's fun, but it's a challenge sometimes. So, update, breaking news. This is where we play the breaking news rift. Just kidding, Kevin. Don't worry. There's no... There we go. There was the breaking news. Google has acquired Fitbit. It has happened.
Yes. Yeah. We were talking about this last week, and we had a good chat about, like, what does this mean for the wearables industry? But it is for sure a thing now. So there's definitely a lot of people who are hesitant, especially when they have to have, like, a big paragraph in the thing being like, we're not going to steal your data and that type of, or like take the data and use it and suck it up. So I think there's a lot of people who are concerned because when you signed up for Fitbit 10 years ago or something like that, now suddenly it's scary to think that kind of out of your control, it can go into Google's hands. So I think I saw somebody like posting, he's like, just so you know, here's how to delete your account kind of thing. But it is, I think it'll be good to have actual competition.
As we're being reminded,
Apple Watches.
I agree 100% that it's not just one person ruling the entire platform. It's always good to have competition. As we're being reminded in the chat, of course, it was Alphabet who acquired the Fitbit company, not Google, but Google. Your average person is not going to know who the heck Alphabet is, and Google knows that, you know that, I know that, we know that. But for those of you who are nerds out there, Alphabet is the one that acquired.
It does. Their blog post does say Google has acquired.
Oh, really?
Of Fitbit, and it's on.
Oh my goodness! It does say Google has entered into a definitive agreement to acquire Fitbit. Well, shut my mouth and chat's mouth and call me Skippy because it was not Alphabet.
Distinction. Because it can matter sometimes.
If you're watching video,
that's the whole
then you
thing.
Can see my sassy head waggle about how it's Google and not Alphabet who were.
That's the whole thing today. This isn't smart tech at all, but Facebook has like a Facebook company logo separate from the app logo, and people are making fun of the it's Facebook by Facebook, brought to you by Facebook for Facebook.
Oh my God, that stupid logo. I can't. It's awful. So
yes, more Google stuff.
Anyway, there's Google acquiring Fitbit, or maybe Alpha Google. Who knows? Google by Alphabet acquired Fitbit by Google.
Fitbit by Google by Alphabet. Oh my God.
Is that the new South by Southwest conference? But that's what they're going to call Google I/O next year. Google I/O by Alphabet. Sirius XM. What's up? Do you listen to Sirius XM? Does anyone listen to Sirius XM except when they rent a car?
Yeah, I was going to say my car came with like a free year of it. And then they were like, now you have to pay us $300 a year for it. And I was like, I'm good. But it is, I think a lot of people once you get into Sirius, it's hard to not it's hard to break out of it, especially. I remember I was surprised. One of my friends, Jeff, was like complaining about a specific show that had changed. And I was like, I didn't know anyone listened to. Yeah, it's like rental cars is the only time I think of it. But it's still, if you have it, it's nice to be able to play it on now Nest Hub or Nest Mini, not Google Home. That's a confusing transition that will take a while. But yeah, that's pretty nice. And then the other little Google Home. Okay, it is called, the product is, I don't even know. The app is called Google Home now that I think about it.
Yes.
Because that just got updated to be a lot more streamlined, which is nice.
Yeah.
I don't totally remember what it was like before because I haven't used it a ton, but.
I do. And there have been some improvements, but it's, you know what? Well, I'll say this. It is not that it is a bad design or anything like that. It's usable. It is just not what I'm used to most of the time. And so it is still perplexing to me in that sense. It is, trying to sort of, it's switching between 2 or 3 different UIs and figuring out how this one works. And I feel like I have to do a lot of scrolling to get to things. There are too many shortcuts. And I don't mean Siri shortcuts. I mean shortcuts within the app to allegedly help you get to certain things faster, but it feels like it takes a while to just get to the things that I want. But again, I really think that is a my problem thing rather than a its problem thing. There are it does surface some important information. Suggestions, exactly, that make it a little bit better. But yeah, I'm glad that they're working on it, because it did feel like it was not going to be updated. And that's one of the things with Google that I worry about sometimes, is it does have a tendency to sort of with some of its products after a while. And Google Home
I thought you were just going to say on iOS specifically too. Like they barely support iPad stuff.
Right.
It is like, don't just hamper the experience for one platform. Right. I mean, it kind of like the Home app and then also the Amazon Echo app, I'm choosing my words carefully, they do have to have this like home base for your assistant on something like iOS that's not just built into how you activate Siri or something like that. So it is nice to see it updated, and it can provide, like, I like the broadcast stuff because I never remember to use that, and every time I see that I want to be like, hey, downstairs.
Yeah. I mean, on Android and on iOS, both the Google Home app felt. It took a while. I remember when I used to use it a long time ago when I first got a Google Home before it was the Nest Home Hub 2D Max. And so back when it was just the Google Home, I got one of those, and I was using what was one time when I went to CES, and I think it was Huawei that was handing out Android phones in goodie bags when you left their little party. And so we all are walking out with these giant Android phablets from Huawei. And I used that device specifically to control the Google Home setup that I had. And what that involved, of course, was using the Google Home app. But at the time, this was before Google locked in with a lot of third parties, and so you could only really control the Google Home itself and Chromecast devices. And at that point, comparing it to the Home app on iOS, obviously there was a big difference, and I was wondering, when is Google going to get serious about smart home control? And I have to give them credit where credit's due, because they really have now made those integrations not only it's very well done, but it's also they cover a wide berth of products, and they make it very easy to get connected, which I appreciate. Yep. So yeah, I'm again, it goes back to, at the end of the day, I'm just happy to see it getting updates. I think that's good. Now let's talk about how allegedly hackers, if you're important enough, hackers can fire lasers at can fire lasers at your Amazon Echo or Google Home to communicate with them using light commands instead of voice. And then in theory, could control different things in your home. Of course, when you are talking about these types of breaches, when you're talking about these exploits, you have to go all in on them, and so it's like worst case scenario. And so here they use lasers to speak to the device, and by doing so they could unlock a car or open a garage door or do something else. This assumes that you put this like lowest level of privacy on there, that you don't have codes and things like that in the way. It's all of these things that make it very difficult to actually pull this off. And I think that's an important thing that we have to put out here.
Yeah. The more you read about it, though, it's wild. Like, so here's one of them is, they say they were on the top of a bell tower at the University of Michigan and successfully controlled a Google Home device on the 4th floor of an office building 230 feet away. Which is freaky, but where's the? Oh yeah, so it's basically what happens is that the microphones, when you shine the light on them, there's a microphone have a small plate called a diaphragm that moves when sound hits it. And so if you shine the light that makes it move in the same way, it interprets it as a sound. And then that's what's like sending the signal. And that's...
It has to be a high-powered laser, though, right?
Yeah, so you do have to have like a laser and then like I think they said an amplifier, so like pretty specific setup. But it is still like... I was like, how the light thing doesn't make sense, but sound is all it really is like certain interpretations. So they're saying that you might even have to like redesign microphones in order to not be able to do this. Amazon is like, literally no one's ever done this before except for you guys.
Yeah, I just don't really see, I don't know, the Prime Minister of Canada having a Google, I don't even know. I need a country that's not the United States that has nuclear capabilities that's also not Russia. Not Russia, not the United States, because I don't want to talk about either of them. Does Germany have them? Let's go with that. What's their thing? Do they have a president or is it a prime minister? The leader of Germany at last blush was, never mind. I'm not going to come across as stupid as I actually am about the world, but the leader of Germany, Israel, France. We're going with France. Thank you. Well, let's go with France. The Chancellor of France. Mwah, thank you, Bleak.
Yeah, Chancellor.
The French Chancellor. I think it's the prime
Chancellor.
Isn't it a prime minister in French? In France,
I think. France? I mean, Angela Merkel is in Germany. I don't know. Okay. Trying to say they got hacked there.
Okay, so the Chancellor of Germany is what we're going with. We're going with the Chancellor of Germany. I don't think that the Chancellor of Germany has a Google Home in their office that they say, hey, boo-boo, can you fire off our nuclear arsenal? So, I also doubt that they have one that is connected to their diplomatic calendar either. Emmanuel Macron.
Well, they can't even hook up their work accounts, so... the Google Apps accounts don't work.
Right,
with Google
that's true, exactly. So their work accounts don't even connect. Basically, my point is it is good. It is 100% excellent that we are considering worst case scenarios so that the people who make this technology can learn to make it even more safe, more privacy minded, more security minded. But what always concerns me is the way that because of the way that this is like a very complex topic in the sense of the way that media makes money, the way that news has to make money, and the way that some news organizations will compromise doing the right thing for the sake of clicks and views and things like that. And so a story like this, I can totally see getting picked up by, for example, the local news station in my hometown, which then gets broadcast to the folks who watch local news, which are, in most cases, a certain subset of individuals who are not as tech-minded as we are, who would see this and go, oh my goodness, my grandson's going to shine, or my grandson's
like mean friends.
Ornery friend. Yeah. My grandson's ornery friend is going to shine their laser pointer at my Echo that he got me for Christmas, and he's going to hack my emails. And that's not how this works. So that's the stuff that I'm glad that it's out there, but it needs to be explained in a way for people to understand just how complex something like this is, because I don't think I have, what is it, a 60 milliwatt laser lying around.
Yeah, it is. It's easy to jump into like fear, and it's like close all your windows and I don't know, I'm going to stand outside and run your Siri shortcuts for you.
Close all your windows.
I think that's what's funny is it's like, I mean, it's always important to keep your personal information safe, but it's always funny to just imagine like the literal situations where you need to be concerned about it. But I guess it's also like somebody sitting across from like the White House shines. We don't exactly have like the best security in the world right now and stuff. So it is, if people are not obeying the rules, you can get yourself into trouble. Or it does seem like a wild thing that's like could be blown over, but then it's like actually happens in like a movie or something. It's like at a foreign consulate or something like that. So
I'm going to replace.
I guess I'm glad they figured about it.
All of the windows in my house with prismatic glass, so that if you try to shine light through it, it will always be scattered, and you'll never get access to my Google Home.
Those fun mirrors that you get at the fun, like.
Oh my goodness, yes. But then, well, they'd have to be sort of see-through so that I can still get natural sunlight in. I'll figure it out.
I look weird today, but I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's how I like to look. For folks out there listening, you just missed a great visual of me acting like a fool by turning my head to the side. So there, I thought I would should paint that picture for you, listeners. You know what? We've got to take a break. We will come back to some more news before we move on to the next segment. But I do want to tell you, who is it? It's FreshBooks. This episode of Smart Tech Today is brought to you by our pals at FreshBooks. FreshBooks is all-in-one small business invoicing and accounting solution that helps make running your business a breeze. You can automate tasks like invoicing, organizing expenses, tracking your time, and following up with clients in just a few clicks. They let you run your business from anywhere using their mobile app, and they also integrate with many apps you already use. See, FreshBooks is always finding new ways to make your experience even better. You now have the option to access FreshBooks using Google Sign-In. Google Sign-In comes with the option to add multi-factor authentication to your account. This, of course, enhances security and limits or revokes data access to third-party sites and apps. You're basically hiring a security force to stand guard over your private information. Simplicity and security? Yeah, it doesn't get any better than that. If you already use FreshBooks and have a Google account, you can log in using the Google Sign-In one-click process. If you're a small business using a Google account and want to sign up for FreshBooks, well, you're just one click away from making it happen. FreshBooks is used and trusted by small business owners in over 120 countries. With customer service via phone, email, and live chat, you're able to get a quick response to your questions. In fact, I know somebody, his name's Matthew Cassinelli, who uses FreshBooks, and you just kind of skipped all the rest and went for the best, as it were. Is that correct?
Yep. It's I'm starting to think about it more and more, too, as the year is closing up. And I've also been logging all of my purchases in the expense system thing that they have there, which so is nice.
So you can tell Uncle Sam, look at all these things I bought for my business. And of course, FreshBooks can help you keep track of all of that. Make the running of your business easier and more efficient with FreshBooks. Visit freshbooks.com/STT and enter Smart Tech Today in the How Did You Hear About Us section to receive 30 days free. That's freshbooks.com/STT and enter Smart Tech Today to receive 30 days free. Seriously, head there, give it a try. You're going to love it. And then, because you told them that Smart Tech Today was the reason you went there, you're supporting us here on this show as well, and we appreciate it. All righty, folks, we are back from the break, and it is time to talk about the latest and greatest in hearable technology, I think is what we're calling it now.
Yeah, hearables. I forgot about that.
I'm trying to get on board with that, but I don't know how to feel about it just yet.
Yeah, it's like headphone, like, because they're not all... It's like earphones. I don't know. But.
Yeah, wearables and hearables. And I mean, if we have smart shoes, what do we call those? Like, those are also wearables, though.
Kickables.
Kickables, the new Lunchables snack. All right. So that's what it reminded me of as like a kid in elementary school. I've got Kickables. So I think you have both as well.
Yes.
We're calling them the Echo Buds.
They're called Echo Buds.
Okay, good.
I would keep writing down the ALEXA buds. But yeah, it's Echo Buds.
That's right. So Amazon was smart enough to know that if they called them something else, then people who talk about these products on the regular would not call them by their name. Yeah. So they are the Echo Buds and the AirPods Pro. So the pluralization there happens on AirPods because, as we know from Strunk and White and all sorts of grammar teachings as youngsters, the pluralization goes on the more important part of the compound word. So AirPods Pro.
It's like, I definitely can tell when I write it, AirPods Pro seems good, but then when I'm talking about my AirPods Pro, it starts to be like my AirPods Pros, AirPod Pros. Like,
wait, so you start to sound like what is that old movie where they were aliens and it was Coneheads. That's what,
yeah.
That's what, my AirPods Pro. Anyway, we've got both of them, and I have been trying out both of them as often as I can, and have as of late been using the AirPods Pro a little bit more frequently, I have to admit, because it is the set of devices that I use on the regular, and so the AirPods have been great for that. However, I got the Echo Buds first, and so I was able to give them a good bit of try for a while. And so Amazon did a smart thing, in my opinion, by partnering with Bose on this product. So the noise cancellation feature is Bose's noise cancellation, which Bose is known for some pretty good noise cancellation. The headphones themselves I found them to be comfortable. They are lightweight. The microphone picks up my voice. They have a lot of different adjustment options. So one of the things is that they not only provide multiple sizes for the ear tip, but also there's a rubber ring that you can wrap around the bud that has a little arm that sticks out, and so it fits perfectly into your ear. So you kind of pop in the bud and then slide it forward, and it locks in place. If you've ever used fitness earbuds, then you're probably familiar with that little wing or that little bud that sticks out. And so I like the different adjustment options that are available with these. I also think that the charging case is quite nice. They lock in. Big. It is a little big. That's true. It's about the size of a business card, but obviously thicker. I don't know what to compare it to. It's a little bit bigger than a Tic Tac box, not a TikTok box.
I'd say it's got to be at least 50% bigger than the AirPods Pro case, though. And the AirPods Pro case, AirPod Pros is already bigger than the original AirPods case. So it's not an insignificant difference.
It's a hefty little buddy.
Yeah, like it'll form an outline in your jeans pocket if you're a guy like that. So I think that's probably fine though. I was actually fairly impressed with the Echo Buds. I do think so. I thought when you were first saying Microsoft did a good move before you said pairing with Bose, I thought you were going to say launching them after AirPods Pro came out, because Apple was like, hey, by the way, this just kind of dropped it somewhat out of nowhere. And then Amazon had announced Echo Buds, but didn't actually put a release date. And then they were like, same day. Like, and then I didn't actually end up getting mine until Friday. So I haven't tested it as long. And also I should note too, I think they're only 150, maybe 160, but they're like $100 cheaper than AirPods Pro. But I found, I don't know, what did you think of comparing them?
Yeah, so Echo Buds are $130.
Oh yeah, that's pretty good actually.
And so I want to push back on. I'm pretty sure that Amazon gave a launch date when they announced them, because I was able to pre-order them on the day.
I did too, and it didn't have a release date. Yeah.
Okay. Huh.
And then they were kind of like, I don't know. I mean, that might be like when I pre-ordered mine, and on Wednesday, I think even until Thursday, it was like it didn't give me a shipping date, and so I was like, that was not a great first experience. It's like, oh, brand new AirPods out, and you can't even really, like when I asked my Echo, I think it told me December 12th because it didn't actually have a date. Yeah, it just picked a random date. And I was like, wow, if these seriously don't come out for another month and a half, that's not good. But
yeah. See, and I got mine before, and so I was able to, that's weird. I don't like that. I wonder why that did that. Anyway, I did get to compare them, and while I like the the functionality of the Echo buds and the fact that it's a little bit, well, okay, give me 1 second here because I'm just I want to confirm my dates here that I actually received them because I can't remember if I got them 2 days ahead of time or 1 day ahead of time with the AirPods Pro. But I do remember, so they shipped on September 26th. I got them on Tuesday, last Tuesday. And what day did...
Yeah, that was even before they came out. So, maybe because I pre-ordered later.
Oh.
Maybe it does say
sure
October 30th release date. So maybe I just was not paying attention. It sounded like they were like, maybe they like moved up the shipping or something like that.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I should have technically... I remember... For the longest time in my app that I use for tracking deliveries, it said it was going to come out on the 30th. And then when I saw that they were going to get to me the day before the 30th, I was like, oh, that's weird, but I'll get a chance to use them and give them the old college try before I switch over. The one problem with the Echo Buds, the only thing that I can complain about with these, because I do think that they sound pretty, they sound, for a pair of in-ear buds, they sound quite good, and the noise cancellation is great, and the transparency feature is great, and like I said, the multi-sizing options is great, and yes, it's a large charging case, but aside from that, all good, all great. The one thing is that unless you have it connected to a device that has the Amazon Assistant app, ALEXA, on it, you cannot use ALEXA. And so if I just randomly, for example, I had trouble finding out how to do this, but I wanted to watch a Netflix show on not on my iPad. I think I wanted to watch it on the Mac specifically. And so I had to look up the pairing process for just normal Bluetooth. Finally found it, was able to get it connected. And there you can't use the ALEXA Smart Assistant. So it needs to be able to connect to a device. It's more than just connecting to a device that has internet. It's connecting to a device that has internet, but being able to relay through the ALEXA app to make it happen. So that's my one disappointment with those. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, like, I think I had a similar thing where when I was in that app, I tried to play music and it couldn't find the earbuds because it normally can find like a Echo that's connected, but it was like trying to play it like it said to choose the room that only has lights in it, and I was like, I don't know what's going on here, but
and so there have been some complications there. As far as the AirPods go, I genuinely was surprised and delighted at the quality of the noise cancellation. So I have been blown away by it, honestly.
That's what I was going to say. It is bad timing, basically, to have. I mean, the AirPods are like $120 more, so it almost is a different level. But because they added the noise cancellation thing, they're naturally just going to be compared. And I just noticed that when you put in AirPods Pro and you turn on noise cancellation, it just kind of goes silent. Like it does feel like it goes like, and just like the noise stops. But when you wear the Echo Buds, it's like piping in white noise. And so you can hear, even like now we're recording a Skype thing and I can hear like a little buzz or whatever just from natural audio feedback. And that's always present instead of actually silent. And so it's like, that's slightly less ideal. And then I did find also that the transparency sounded like it was like being like a little bit like her talking through a mic, like it didn't, versus transparency with the AirPods Pro, or I guess it's pass through on the buds, and then transparency is the name on AirPods, and that was a little bit smoother. Like it doesn't sound awkward, the audio that's coming through, like it's
breaker 19.
Yeah, like being filtered through something. So I do find that seems a lot smoother on the AirPods, and is like I think that detail too went from being like, wow, this is really impressive, to like, yes, the Echo Buds, it's like less noticeable. I noticed that. Well, I noticed that it was less noticeable. Yeah, but it was like when I put in the AirPods, it's like very clear that suddenly all the sound is wiped out, versus the Echo Buds, I almost just like didn't notice any noise versus it being clearly canceled out. So it's like a subtle difference, but that detail did like delight me more than the buds. But it's I am trying to check my biases, but like another thing too was I was setting up something else wearing the Echo Buds, and one of them fell out because I was bent over, and just the way the design is, it's kind of like the tip is at the bottom and then the rest of the bud wraps around your ear canal. And then since I was upside down, that like natural weight was the opposite and just like fell out. So, I mean, that's not always as common, but if you're bending over to like scoop your dog's poop and then you drop your earbud into it, like that's actually a common thing that you should be concerned about with these.
That. I didn't want to think about that. Yeah.
But I've been doing the AirPods Pro cancellation, and also for any Siri shortcuts users, there is a shortcut action to switch transparency mode and noise mode or noise cancellation back and forth. But doing stuff like filling up my gas at the gas station and stuff like that was like lots of that machines going, cars are driving by, and then it was just kind of like whoop, and pulled a lot of the sound out, and it was like nice listening experience along the way. I haven't actually tested the Echo Buds outside as much right now. It's a lot more home type noises, but like fridge hums, and I live on a busy street corner and there is like a lot of noise throughout the day, and I feel like I've had a pretty productive day because I've been ignoring all of that. Like I just don't hear those tiny little distractions of cars driving by all the time, and people like to stand outside our house and have conversations, and it's like, I'm working right here, please. So these are actually like, I feel like I'm a pro now or something.
Oh yeah. Quibbles about pro monikers aside, I have been impressed with these, and I see why people who have really been who've tried them out seem to want to definitely keep them and stick with them. But it is nice, again, like you said earlier, the price difference means that these can't quite fairly be compared. Yeah. And that is obviously part of the conversation that, needs to be had there. But whatever you choose, I think if you're looking for a pair of in-ear headphones that do offer noise cancellation and have some sort of support for smart assistant, because you can trigger Apple's smart assistant using the Echo Buds as well. So if you want to have a smart assistant sort of in your ear at the ready, regardless of which you buy, I think that you can be happy with the purchase that you make. It's just going to depend on how much. If you've never used noise cancellation stuff before, then you're going to definitely be happy with either or. But if you are usually using some big, beautiful cans that offer noise cancellation features, then you'll probably not be happy with either, but you'll be more happy with what Apple is doing than you will be with what Amazon is doing. And I should point out that the AirPods Pro are Bluetooth headphones. And so while they don't offer some of the quick switching features and quick connect features that you get with if you use a whole iOS system or macOS system, you can still use them as regular Bluetooth.
Does the noise cancellation work on Android for AirPods Pro?
Well, actually, now you've got me. See, so
got to test that.
Yeah,
we can follow up with it.
First and second generation of AirPods work just fine. They didn't have noise cancellation, obviously, and they work just fine on Android devices. And in fact, Daniel Beddr of Android Central wrote up a piece where at the time he said the AirPods were the best truly wireless earbuds for Android users even. Yeah. And for Android users even. So I'm curious if the AirPods Pro, I'll have to give that a go this evening and we'll follow up with that. Did you get your phone, by the way?
That's what I was just going to say. I can try it too, because I just got an Android phone, one of Twit's older ones so I'll be testing that out firsthand now, which is good. But
excellent.
It is, it's good that I do like, it's like I prefer the AirPods Pro, but I could totally feel okay recommending the Echo Buds to people because the sound does sound good. And I had a couple. I'm not a huge fan of how loud you have to say the wake word in order for the device to trigger. I had at least 6 failures while I was just sitting there saying like, hey, play some music, because I had to be like, hey, play some music. And like just the difference between slightly enunciating it versus saying it in just like my normal tone didn't actually get the Echo Buds. And as somebody who is generally using something like AirPods, I was like pretty frustrated by that I was just like, I don't want to have to enunciate every time I want to use this. So I do think the AirPods are also better at like low volume wake triggers, probably because they're literally pointed at your mouth also versus the Echo Buds are on the side. But what did you think of the double tap and the like taps to trigger stuff? Because AirPods just moved away from that basically.
Yeah. So I was tapping them as if they were AirPods, and it's not the same thing. So with AirPods,
it had to be a lot slower. It was like tap, tap. If
and
you went
you
tap,
didn't
tap,
have to press as
work.
hard either. With AirPods, it was using like accelerometer stuff, and these actually, the sides of them are capacitive, and so you can do a light, gentle. And I'm over here, bop, bop, bopping my ears, and I had to relearn how to do it. So yeah, at first it was a little bit annoying, but after I realized, oh, this is a different mechanism, I adjusted the way that I did it, and then it got easier for me, and I was okay with it. I like the new force button on the AirPods, and I don't even think necessarily the force button itself is what I like. It's that little clicking sound it makes whenever you press them.
Those are both smooth too. It's like you can you press once and it simulates a click, so it does feel like it clicks. And that's like play, double is next track. And I think you can do triple for back a track.
I think so.
But then also long press and hold can switch the transparency mode, or you can set it up to trigger Siri too.
Oh, I didn't realize that one.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to say, hey, boo-boo out loud, then you can just go.
Yeah, it's not. Because that is like, I mean, that's the test. I got to take this on BART and just be like, I want to say the trigger. I'm just going to say it's like just like Alexa, turn on the lights, and people like on BART probably will be like, "What?" Because it is. I mean, I guess turning on the lights doesn't make sense, but it is like a lot more people, especially because I think Siri is just like doesn't sound as loud, or it's like Alexa or God, I'm saying it over and over again, but just like in somebody's home, you're used to that, and then you never hear it anywhere else. So I think I saw a reviewer who was like, people were staring at me because I was triggering it in the middle of like the street.
That makes sense. Now I understand why you would want to just push the button, because that is a different sound than just if you were speaking and saying, hey, change the music. You might be talking on the phone or something, but if you, hey, exactly. Boo-boo, I want to listen to this. Yeah, that's a good point. That's I hadn't considered that. Yeah, and I guess if you're on public transportation, most people are like, do you have an Echo Tower plugged in somewhere?
Yeah,
in here?
Exactly. It is.
Did you
just
think
like,
that the train is ALEXA enabled? Because I don't think that's the case. Yeah. Well, that I think covers our conversation on Echo Buds and AirPods Pro. Unless you had any last thoughts there. I'm liking the different ear tip options again for both.
Yeah. I haven't tried out those wingtips for the Echo Buds, so I'll have to do that.
They're complicated to put on.
AirPods too. I was like, I was going to tear these apart. Yeah. So it's a little, but once I did it once, I was then like, okay, I know how much it needs. But like the first time I was like, I'd never heard anyone mention how bad this was.
Should I pull harder or not? Yeah, that's
you have to like get your finger in the little
notch. Yeah. And then click them. They're clickable, which is nice. And Renee Ritchie, who covered them, went to Apple or whatever. You can buy replacement ear tips in your size thing for like, I don't know, was it $265 or I think it was like $365 or something. So I can go in and get. I'm curious, like, I don't know if you can buy them online. I haven't checked that, but I'm curious if I walked into an Apple store and said, hi, I would like to buy 10 pairs of medium-sized tips for my AirPods Pro, if they let me buy 10 pairs. Or if they only let you buy one or something. I'm curious about that because I would just have a bunch and then after a month I would switch on a new one because I'm a terrible person.
Yeah, gotta clean those.
Let's move on to multi-voice recognition. So this is kind of a big topic here because you've been playing around with some stuff in your home along with your partner. She was wanting to use some of the, or maybe you were asking her to use some of it. Yeah. And so that, and then also the Amazon Assistant has gotten some, I like this topic, so I'll go into this one first. So the Amazon voice assistant for a while now, with Amazon's functionality, with Amazon's features and services, you could communicate with your voice and have, the things related to you happen. Someone else could communicate with their voice and have the things related to them happen. So if you have like contacts set up with the ALEXA app, or if you have your calendar connected, then you could communicate with the Echo and it would recognize between your voice and someone else's. Mm-hmm. Now, as of October 31st, was it?
Yeah.
There's that thing, which is called voice profiles. That's the feature that sets up different profiles for different voices, is available to developers. The developers will be able to leverage that. So if they are creating a skill that would, maybe it's I wish I would stop hitting the microphone, but I'm just so expressive on this audio podcast. So with the, you could make a skill that's a to-do app service. And if I was communicating with it and I had on my to-do list, make some rice and beans and vacuum the hallway. And then Henry, my dog, was to make a list. It's like eat, sleep, go to the bathroom. Then whenever he asks ALEXA, what's left on my to-do list? Then it would say, you have nothing left on your to-do list because you've already done all 95 times today. But if I asked it, then it would say literally everything's still left on your to-do list because you've done nothing today. And I like that feature is available depending on, what you want to use it for and what developers want to take advantage of there. So pretty neat stuff. And I think
their good example is Uber. Like whoever orders the Uber, it goes to their account and not just like one account.
That is excellent. That is chef's kiss. And I think that it is an opportunity for folks to experiment even more with the functionality of their apps. And in fact, I think we have a request at some point to walk through how to make a skill of your own, because Amazon does make that pretty simple. So that might be a project that we do at some point on the show.
I think I have a bookmark for some of the like simpler routines. Beautiful. Not the like full on skill stuff or I don't know. I guess I need to do more research.
Yeah, we both do. I need to do a lot more research on it too. So tell us about what you've been working on so that when you talk to your HomePod and when your other human talks to your HomePod, not your dogs, it can do different things.
So now, we mentioned this last week, but it was basically broken, which seems to be a theme of Apple software in this fall, which is a little frustrating because a lot of people are complaining about bugs, but the HomePod got like a quick bug fix update from the original 13.2 update. And so that enables people to properly set up multiple voice recognition for the HomePod also. And I went through a whole ordeal trying to get this to actually take. Like my girlfriend, you can say, who am I? And then it'll be like, oh, I don't know who this is. Make sure to set it up in the Home app. And then she went and did it and then ask again, and it just forgets entirely. And so we had to hard reset the HomePod by like unplugging it, plugging it back in, and holding it for like 10 seconds. And then I removed it from the Home app and put it back. And then I also removed my girlfriend and added her. And it finally worked then. But what it does is enable what are called personal requests for everybody who is added in here. And that enables that your HomePod to communicate with your device, like your phone, and then it's like your calendars, your reminders, your contacts, messages, phone calls, and your shortcuts work. And I hadn't confirmed this last week because the shortcut stuff just wasn't working at all. And it's naturally, I can't be the only person with this multiple voice recognition, which is like actually hard to test. I'm like, please, I need your help. But now you're able to, each person, whatever Siri shortcuts they have on their phone, they can speak to HomePod and trigger that just using the title of the shortcut. So
nice.
That's very cool because it basically opens. Previously, it was basically one person in the house could run their own shortcuts, and now anybody can, which is neat. The part that I referenced earlier in the show, though, and somebody was complaining about, is like, I can't have one shortcut that anyone in my home can run. They all have to have their own version of the same thing. Mm-hmm. And you can do home automations and stuff like that, but it's a little bit limited in sort of like the spatial way people think about this stuff. But in the update, HomePod also got Handoff features, which is very cool. So you can hold your phone close to the HomePod and it'll transfer your audio from your phone to the HomePod, and then you can do it back also. And this is more than just airplaying. It'll actually like transfer it to that device, and then you can play something else on your phone.
Yeah, I've been using that pretty frequently. Yeah, I come into the house and pop it over the HomePod, and the music picks up, hey, where it left off when I was in the car, and now I can suddenly dance because I'm not in the car seat. Wait, the car seat? I don't sit in the car seat because I don't have my seatbelt on anymore.
Somebody let Mikah out of the car. The child locks are on.
Yeah, why can't I roll down my windows, Mom? Why don't this window roll down? Turn off the window lock. Anyway.
HomePod also got ambient noises, so you can say play rain sounds, and it'll do a relaxing thunderstorm or something like that.
High quality.
It's. But of course, like there's not a shortcut to set that back on your HomePod, so people are like, I want that, and I filed my feedback to Apple. But
don't worry, folks, it's coming.
But basically, this leads into my big project, which has been just integrating shortcuts via voice on HomePod and then also AirPods 2, because I feel like this is something
AirPods 2 or AirPods Pro 2?
But the reason I said that is because since AirPods 2, you've been able to use the like, hey, Sierra trigger phrase, and you're able to hands-free trigger Siri from just like whatever you're doing. And now it's basically, you can do that in the home and on your Apple Watch, and whenever you're out about using your headphones, just hands-free stuff. And it's very cool. And sometimes I feel like I'm the only person who even is aware that this is working, but because I feel like there's not that much coverage. But I have an article on iMore about how I'm doing this, and you can basically, just by speaking the trigger phrase, it'll try to run the shortcut from Siri, and then now all the scripting capabilities, like you can use ask for input or choose from menu type stuff, so that when your shortcut is running, you can speak back to it and like deliver an answer, and then it can respond and do something with that.
What?
Yeah, it's very cool. And so like today, Merlin Man was asking about like a drafts action. So he wants to append the same text or a text to the same note over and over again using Siri. And
wait,
draft.
Can you explain what that means? Why would you want to say like chicken pork chops over and over again? Is that
not the same thing? It's to the same note. Sorry, I just missed. So it's like if you have a travel checklist, anytime you're thinking of it, you can just say add to travel checklist.
Gotcha.
And it'll be like, what do you want to say? And then you say close the blinds, and it'll append it to the end of that.
Okay, gotcha.
And it's pretty, like, there's a dictate text action that also lets you dictate just from your phone instead of typing it out, which is neat. But this stuff is super powerful. It's sort of like I started to write up a little thing, but it seems to be like the very first level of Apple's voice OS type stuff, especially when it works from anywhere in the home and you can actually be recognized that it's you running it and not just like, I'm sorry, I didn't know what you were talking about. So I'm super excited. It doesn't work with health actions right now, which is frustrating because I think it's like that's protected information. And
Yeah.
like, no, I'm telling you what to do. I still want it to work.
See,
I think that is just
that's a
bug,
tough
but
one, because I would never want there to be an accident where that one. I'm with you, but
logging your health. Well, it doesn't.
No, if I went into someone's house and I had, because I have my medical records set up with, by the way, if you're on Kaiser Permanente and you live in California, they finally added support. It's because I moved here. They knew that I wanted it. So they added health record support. And the last thing I want is someone walking in my house and be like, oh, what was the results? What were the test results you last got in?
But they can't. It can recognize who's speaking now. And so
yes, but
if you did it, it would say, Mikah, here's your answer. But if they did it, it would say, I don't know who's talking.
I once was able to replicate my former partner's voice close enough that I was able to trigger his "Hey Boo Boo" phrase and get his phone to light up. So
from Google or
no, for Sierra. Hey Sierra.
Okay.
Yeah, I said I asked him to say it a couple times. Well, it was like 5 or 6 times, and then I tried it, and on the second time that I said "Hey Sierra," I was able to get his phone to do it. I will say, like, I pay attention to voices for a living, and so it is easier for me. But the idea is that then still, I don't know. That's I don't know.
It was logging caffeine. It's not
right
reading the caffeine data. So I'm not. That is,
and I guess that's a thing you can turn on or turn off, right? Yeah. So exactly. If you don't want it, you don't have to have it.
Or he'd have to have your shortcut or something. I guess no, he's impersonating you. But yeah, I mean, that's true of any smart assistant, really. At a certain point, if you're a voice impersonator, maybe you've got some advantages there. But it's hard to, like, some of the stuff is hard to integrate because it just requires an entire, like, sea change of, like, how you think about using smart assistants. And I think I even put out a call of, like, who wants me to build shortcuts? And I think a lot of people don't even think about the HomePod and being able to do stuff like that. But you can have just entire custom smart maybe they're not smart, but you can have full pre-built interactions where it can just prompt you to answer a bunch of questions and then maybe, like, add that data into a spreadsheet or something like that. So there's a lot there, but I guess I do need to do more streams demoing it, because I think a lot of people, like, you don't know what you don't know when there's not been any demos of it.
It is really the Disney's Pocahontas kind of thing. How can there be so much that you don't know? Well, yeah, because we don't even think about it in that way in the first place, and think about I'm not even thinking about how to automate my phone. I mean, I am, but, the average person isn't. So I do think that
exactly,
no matter what device you're using, to start to think of it in that way. An example of this, one of our sponsors is Zapier, and just hearing about it is not enough, but to actually go, and in fact, the call to action talks about to go in and just set up an account and log in with some of your apps, and it will give you suggestions. You can do this, and you suddenly feel like super powerful. And so I think people they're not thinking about ways to make their life easier using their devices necessarily. And so opening them up to that kind of does take work. I agree.
The one that I set up was called Pro Mode, and it is for the AirPods. And you can just say, "Hey Sierra, Pro Mode," and it'll say, "What do you want to set? Noise cancellation or transparency?" And then whichever you answer, it'll change it. And hands free. So that's a pretty sweet one for AirPods Pro.
Send that to me.
AirPods Pros.
AirPods Pro S. Send that one to me. I want it.
Sure.
Thanks. Oh, actually, you probably should post it in a link in the show notes so that we can give it to other people as well. Otherwise, they'll be going, "Is Matthew going to share that shortcut?" I'm sorry, folks. This is my fault it's probably my fault for not getting it into the show notes document. But I'm doing better, I promise. Okay, we've got to move on to our next segment. And in fact, this is pretty much what you've been talking about, right? Shortcuts on these devices, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what I was saying.
Okay, excellent.
I merged the two. But I was going to say, what is your project this week? You have using motion sensors.
Wow. Okay, so I think that motion sensors are one of the coolest thing that you can, well, okay, let me try this again. Motion sensors are one of the best underhyped devices you can add to your smart home. They're not flashy, literally or figuratively. They're not a light. They're not anything other than just sensing the passing of somebody. And I will say that the Philips Hue motion sensor, which for some god-awful reason does cost a lot of money now. I don't remember it costing this much before, but it is $40. And I will say,
pretty good.
$40 for what this device does, because it's not just a motion sensor. It is also an ambient light sensor, and it has a temperature sensor as well. And so it is a little bit like a full-on room sensing device. It doesn't do air quality, but it does the other things. But it is the best, most responsive, most versatile, and most accurate motion sensor I have ever used in the history of my time playing around with the smart home. And so for me, I have 2 of them, and it was well worth the $80 investment I made over the course of time. So,
or the $80 investment I just made now live on air.
Yes. There you go. So with these, you connect it to, you do need the bridge, the Philips Hue bridge, but assuming that you kind of are already getting your foot into the smart home, maybe the Philips Hue lighting kit was the first thing you purchased or something like that, or was given to you. You add motion sensors to transitional spaces. So, for example, I don't have one currently set up, but I'll give you an example from the home that I moved from. I had a Philips Hue motion sensor in the hallway. It was an L-shaped hallway, and in the corner of the L, so in the 90-degree angle area of the L in the hallway, I placed the Hue motion sensor. The cool thing is it comes with this little magnetic base that you screw into the wall, or you could probably fasten it. They're not very heavy, but it's better to screw it in because the magnetic base connects to the Hue motion sensor, which has a ball essentially on the back side of it that magnets into the base, and so you can move it around and adjust the angle just how you need it. So I've got it in the corner, and so it can basically look at whether someone was coming out of the master bathroom or the master bedroom or the guest bedroom or my office or coming down the hallway from the living room. No matter where you were in this area, it could see you. And I had a Philips Hue light I think it was a couple lights in the hallway that were connected to this Philips Hue motion sensor. And anytime, this is how the base functionality was set up. Anytime you see motion, turn on the light in the hallway. That's the base functionality. Then you add on the special sauce to that. If the ambient light sensor detects enough light in the hallway over whatever threshold you set, then do not turn on the light when you detect motion.
Yeah, like during the day.
During the day. Basically. So during the day when there's daylight coming in, there's no need to turn that motion sensor or that light on. After 11 p.m., turn on the light at, I think it was like 10% or even less brightness, and it was
nightlight.
Yeah, it was a nightlight, and it was almost red. It was orange, a very orange color, and that's because blue waves travel farther; they're more energetic. Light waves do not, and so it did not wake people up. It was very dark in comparison, and so if you stepped out into the hallway in the middle of the night to use the restroom, you weren't going to wake people up. No matter what the light availability was in the room, it could be pitch black and it would still see me. It worked every time, and it worked so well that I never had to worry about someone, because I didn't get it set up. I didn't go all the way with it. If I'd gone all the way with it, then I would have replaced the switch on the wall with just a blank plate on the outside so that no one could even flip off the switch by accident.
Yeah.
But I didn't even have to do that, because by the time someone's muscle memory would have triggered them to be turning on or off the switch, the thing was already turned on. So they didn't even they didn't even find it necessary to go to the light switch because the light already was turned on for them. It was genuinely like a transformative experience for me in terms of the smart home because of how well it worked. And it worked instantly. And in comparison to other motion sensors that I've used, and I've used a lot of them. This one is the one that has never let me down, hands down. And like I said, then it works with HomeKit, and I'm sure it'll work with the Google Home too, with the other sensors that are built in. So you get temperature, you get ambient light, and you get motion. So you can use those as triggers for other things as well.
That's what I'm looking at, is like the home automation with shortcuts. Is if I could have this, what could I do every time I walk through the hallway or something like that? But
yeah.
These are so good.
In my house,
I need to get some.
Sorry, I was just going to say, in my house, I've got 2 sets of stairs because it's basically it's stacked 3 high. The bottom floor is the garage. You walk up to the living room space, and then you walk up again, and that's where the bedrooms are. And so I'm going to set mine in the stairwells, in both areas. And so then the light that takes me when I walk into the house or whatever, then that'll take me. And I forgot to mention too that after a period of time, I can't remember how long it is, I think 5 minutes of not sensing motion, then it dims and then shuts off. So it'll shut off afterward. I'm not, using that energy. These things are great. They're battery powered. They last a bajillion years. That's not true.
Oh, they are battery? That was the biggest thing that I was worried about.
You don't worry about it.
Can I plug it in?
Don't worry about that it's battery.
2 to 3 years.
Yeah,
wow. Okay.
It lasts forever. And I mean, I was always walking in the hallway, and even though it was battery powered, and I think it's a AAA battery. So
yeah, nice.
Yeah,
not bad at all.
Again, don't quote me on that because it might be a button battery.
Two AAA.
See, yeah. So those are easy to get. Although that's another story for another time. Check out Tech News Weekly, where this week we talked about somebody who had a whole thing of Amazon Basics batteries explode on them. And so
oh my God.
The journalist tracked down the source of where the Amazon Basics batteries come from.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a pretty powerful story. No, it was a very interesting story. So yeah.
Have you done the motion sensor in a room where you spend time? Because I'm interested with my office, but it'd be pretty stupid to be recording a podcast or a video and have the lights turn off on me. So
there are ways to. You'd really have to give that a look because I've never done that research to determine. But Philips Hue has some special ingredient, or they're called recipes not special ingredients, but special recipes that help with that kind of thing. It's like an occupancy deal. I personally never wanted to use it except in transitional spaces. But
I guess if it's battery powered, that's what matters for me. Is I don't have good outlets in the right spaces.
Right, yeah.
But being able to just stick it on the wall.
You can also talk to Renee Ritchie because I'm fairly certain last time I talked to him about this, he uses them in all sorts of spaces, not just in transitional spaces. But I think they're perfect for transitional spaces. And that's where I've gotten the most joy out of them. And as you could probably tell, these are the things I love talking about these because they genuinely, it's made me so happy. Oh, and I should note too, it doesn't have to be fastened to a wall. One of the hero images for the product itself, they've just put it up on their spice rack. So as long as it can get the view off of the front of it, then it's good to go. And yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to say is my angle on this is that I have 2 very, very dumb motion sensor LEDs that I just bought as an attempt to have lights in my closet.
Oh.
And I don't think it's going very well.
Oh, no.
Because what you were saying about it's super accurate. These ones, I mean, I don't even know if during this live stream, my closet lights have just been going on and off or something. Because I think it was, I don't know what was happening, but it's like when I stepped into the office, the closet light would turn on, which is not within view of the office front. So it's like, I have the extremely poor man's version of it is like if I go into my closet right now, 2 little LEDs will turn on, but it's not very reliable.
Yeah.
But it's also, I don't think they cost $40. So,
right.
But it is like, this can be automated with HomeKit stuff. I do see Guitar Center has them on sale for $20 at certain stores. So I'm actually might get a guitar soon. So I might go a 2 for 1 and just buy some Hue motion sensors at the same time.
Why are you buying motion sensors? Those are not picks for your guitar.
Yeah, but it's even, I mean, just thinking of that as these would be good Black Friday purchases. If they went on sale. So that's coming up soon. So.
Absolutely. We've got to
start saving your pennies.
Really got to keep our eye on Black Friday because that's going to be great for smart home stuff. All right, let's go ahead and move on to our last segment of the show, our picks of the week. So Matthew, you tell us about. I just remembered what your pick of the week is. You tell us about your pick of the week first.
Well, it's depending on whether you celebrate this early or not. But according to
celebrate this holiday
Carey,
at all,
yeah,
right.
Fair, good point. But according to Mariah Carey, it is the time. But there is Amazon Assistant enabled Christmas tree that you can get now, and it's actually this is one of those things again that's like, man, this is absurd. And then it's like, oh, you can control all the lights, you can change the lights as like just different colors, and then also have them sparkle and stuff like that. So it's kind of a fascinating product. Like,
yeah,
I could see, especially, I don't know, companies could definitely buy something like this. But now that I think about it, don't put dry plants in your California home,
right?
Or something
don't
like that.
Use real trees, please. I remember my grandparents they bought one of those. This was back in the day before we had all these internet connected things, and so you like hand cranked this device that set it to 6 hours or something like that, and they plugged their Christmas tree into that and all of the lights that they had decorated around the space. And at the end of the 6 hours, then it would shut off, or maybe it was like it would shut off and turn on at 2 times in a day, depending on how you set it. So from the energy use perspective, this is also great because it works with Amazon's Assistant, then it will let you set a schedule. And so I can have the tree turn off and on at a certain time, but I can also say, make the lights green or make the lights red, or do the sparkle thing. And then it does different kind of twinklings and whatnot. Now, as I was telling Matthew Cassinelli, I wish that it let you, in the same way that the twerking bear, which by the way was just on sale for $8, maybe that's what I should have got for all of my family for the holidays. Anyway, I wish it would let you sync your music to the light. Like the lights would sync to the music. That'd be super cool. I don't need my Christmas tree to twerk, but it would be cool if it synced to the music.
Yeah, that would make sense, especially with your Christmas music or your ambient fireplace noise. That would be cool. Like
crackle in the trees, just very that would be sweet. So my pick of the week is something that I learned about recently. A couple folks from Twit went to PepCom. For the folks that are tuning in live to the show, I'll show this to you. But for the folks who are listening, don't worry. I will explain it first and foremost. This is an audio first podcast for sure. But we were at PepCom, and one of the companies there was called Beddr, Beddr. And I was walking by, and I saw this woman who had something stuck to the middle of her forehead, a little rectangle stuck to the middle of her forehead. And she's talking, she's having a conversation, and there's just this gray thing stuck to her forehead. She's moving around and everything. And immediately I turned to Anthony, one of our producers here, and I said, there's no way in any world that I'm ever going to wear one of these every night to bed to track my sleep. No one's going to want to do that.
You totally are now.
No. Hold on. This is where it gets interesting. So I was just perplexed. I thought, we've already got wearables that we can, you can wear your Apple Watch to bed, or you can wear an Aura ring to bed or something like that.
Faceables.
Yeah. Why would someone stick something to their forehead and wear that to bed for the rest of their life to track their sleep? So by the end of the night, I was curious what was going on. And also I kind of wanted to just see what their pitch was and see like how they were selling this. So I was curious, and I walked up, and it turns out that this device is not a sleep tracker. It is a sleep diagnostic tool. And so right now, this device is an FDA registered device that tracks your sleep and tracks your motion while you're sleeping, but also tracks your oxygen, the percentage of oxygen in your blood, which I can't think of what that's called, like SpO2, and your heart rate and all of these different things, and it uses this to analyze. But it is not a wearable. It is not a tracker. It is a diagnostic tool, meaning that, yes, you stick this thing to your forehead, but you do it 5 or 6 times, and it takes all of that data and then gives you the information that you need to know. So the idea here is, you suddenly in your life are not sleeping as well as you used to, or you keep waking up with headaches, or you're a snorer now and maybe you weren't before, or something is going on that's weird about your sleep and you don't know what this is. This comes in, this lets you try it out and figure out what's going on. You can take that information to your doctor or whomever and get some information there. Assuming that, you haven't just brought a baby into your household, because that's why you're losing sleep. But if there's something else going on, if there's some underlying condition, then this can help you with that. So what it does, and this is the big thing, the thing that I'm most excited about with this company is that I can't speak about when this is supposed to happen, but they are working on becoming an even more fully featured diagnostic tool specifically for folks with sleep apnea, which means that instead of having to charge people a bajillion dollars to have them stay overnight in a sleep facility and do a sleep study there, if you don't have insurance, and sometimes even with insurance, it can still cost a lot of money. Your doctor could send you home with a Beddr device, an updated Beddr device that could then give you even more control and understanding of your breathing and things like that. So and by the way, again, for folks who aren't watching, you won't be able to see this, but if you just click on the link, then you can go to the website. They've designed this product well from the get-go. Not only does it come with like this sculpted case that the device fits into, and these little adhesive pads. So they give you these adhesive pads that are used to go around the device that you then stick to your forehead. So you wipe your forehead with no oils left over, stick it to your forehead. But also it comes with a charger, a charging brick, and a cord. And the cord fits perfectly in the case. The charger fits perfectly in the case, and it's all shaped so that it all fits very nicely. So they're really thinking like step 1 through step 15. And it's USB-C charging. So at the end of the night, you just charge it up with USB-C and it's ready to go for the next day. Now, what they told me while I was at PepCom was that the Beddr device, if you were to wear an Apple Watch to bed and it did as many readings as this does in a night, your Apple Watch would be dead in an hour. This thing is taking a lot more readings over the course of your sleep constantly to determine what is going on and gathering information about you. Now, I had to be up pretty early this morning because I needed to be in front of the camera, ready to record at 5:45 a.m., which I'm not complaining about. Some people have to wake up super early, but it was a different day for me than usual. And last night, this whole week I'm trying this device out. And so last night, I didn't get very many hours of sleep. But I had quite a few stop breathing events. And so that's something I'm going to keep an eye on over the course of this week. There's a lot of sleep apnea in my family, and I don't know. I mean, ultimately kind of everything is genetically linked, but I don't know how forward genetically linked something like sleep apnea is. But with it being in my family, I'm curious. So right now, you can get a Beddr device from Amazon. It is $150, which I know is not a small amount of money. But
better sleep,
if you are a person who is worried about your sleeping, I mean, sleep apnea is kind of horrifying because essentially you are depriving your brain of oxygen until it makes your body freak out enough that it wakes you from sleep so that you start breathing again. Your brain is literally sort of firing on all cylinders to wake you up so that you don't go brain dead, which is a horrifying thing. And so over the course of time, you're actually doing damage to your brain if you do have sleep apnea or something similar. And so, like that's nothing to mess around with. It hurts you over time. It's a bad thing. It can also, it can affect the physical, the anatomy of your heart. In some cases, it's been shown to cause your heart to, different muscles in your heart, different parts of the muscles in your heart to grow in different ways because parts of them are working harder than others due to the respiration and the areas of low and high pressure in your chest whenever you have these stop breathing events. So it's all involved. It's all very important. Sleep is so important. Anyway, I realize $150 is a lot of money, and I did, of course, Beddr gave me this product for free, and I want to put that out there so that people know that this was a free thing, but not with the hopes that I would speak well of it, obviously. And I am going to try it for the course of this week. And one thing that I've noticed is that the sticky pads, it doesn't matter if it was negative 20 degrees in my room, I would still sweat. When I sleep, I sweat for some reason. And so I did wake up at one point and it was starting to come off. So I'm keeping an eye on that. I might need to think about that, but I'm going to follow up on this after this week in terms of talking about it here on the show. But I think this is great because this is a lot less expensive than having to do a sleep study, which is something that my dad had to do to determine that he had sleep apnea.
My dad too.
Oh, wow.
And this looks nice, and like it is relatively small, so it's not like you have a huge chunking thing on your head.
Yeah. And to go into, to do a sleep study, that involves so much, and you have all these things strapped to you, and they force you, they say they really need you to lie on your back, and I'm not a back sleeper, I'm a side sleeper. There are all these things that are involved with a sleep study, and like I said, it's very expensive because they have to have at least one person there at all times doing the monitoring, but in most cases two. So you're basically like your insurance is paying for two different people,
salaries,
as well as all of the stuff that gets attached to you. So this is much less expensive than that, and it can give you an idea before you decide to go and make that expensive decision, basically, if you need to. So, yeah.
I feel like my girlfriend wants me to get this so that I can figure out why I'm snoring.
Because
I snore. So,
yeah.
Interesting. Maybe I'll have to borrow yours once you're done with it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And also they let you...
Get rid of these circles under my eyes.
You can buy new adhesive sticky thingies from their site. So I think they give
I don't want to use yours.
No, you throw them away after you're done, like one per night. They give you 18 of them, and you're not supposed to go for 18 days. You can go for as long as you want.
Because it's cool.
Yeah, just a diagnostic tool.
That's smart.
Yeah, it's pretty smart. Smart tech. Folks, if you would like to get in touch with the show, we are looking for more questions and project ideas and things like that. You can email us at stt@twit.tv. You can also leave us a message over on twit.community, which is our community forum. Lots of great messages and feedback and things like that there. So check that out if you haven't signed up yet. We record the show live every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern. That's 4 p.m. Pacific, 2300 UTC. You can head to twit.tv/live if you want to watch the show live on any of the platforms we're streaming on. And if people want to follow you online or see your work, Matthew, how can they do that?
You can find me at Matt Cassinelli on Twitter or Matthew Cassinelli on YouTube.
Excellent. If you're looking for me online, you can find me at Mikah Sargent on pretty much all the social things, or head to chihuahua.coffee, which has links to the different stuff that I do. Don't forget to subscribe to the show. If you're listening to this now and you haven't subscribed, it's very simple. You just head to twit.tv/STT. And on that webpage, we've got links to all the different ways you can subscribe. So head there, subscribe. You're helping us out. When we get to a certain number, I think it's 30K subscribers, we'll flip on the video feed. So if you are a video podcast viewer and you want to not have to just tune into the live stream, but see it live anytime and have us do some video-focused stuff from time to time, then tell your friends about the show, and we will hopefully get there. That is going to do it for us, folks. Matthew, say goodnight to all your smart assistants.
Hey, computer, power down.